Hello, beautiful souls out there. I hope you're able to get out in nature like Starlight is. And Starlight is out here. What a beautiful day. I hope you're getting out in nature like Starlight is. And anyway, if you are new to my YouTube channel, welcome. And you can find me on YouTube, and that is at Starlight. And that is Kathy with a K Dingman. Plus, you could give my videos a thumbs up, and you could subscribe to my YouTube channel. Don't be afraid, don't be shy. Swing by and say hi to Starlight by leaving Starlight a comment down below. Beep, beep, beep. And you could share my videos with your family, your friends. Let's see, a chipmunk and a fox. Plus, you could if you would like to share any of your pets, not your husband, not your wife, no, not those kind of pets, and not your children, but any little furry friends. Oh, your husband wears what? Oh, no, not that kind of furry pet. Yeah, if you want to share, like, if you got a cat or dog or maybe a snake or a turtle, those kind of pets. So you can, if you want to share those on my Instagram, and that is at 1995 Starlight, or on Facebook, and that is Kathy with a K Dingman Starlight. And I gotta say a big, huge thank you. Yeah, you. And you, and you, and you. And all of you, thank you. I would not be able to do this on my own. You know why? Because we all need each other. And I love you, and thank you for all of you who have been here. You've been here before I started Facebook. I mean, before, not as Facebook, that's been a while back, but you have been here before I started YouTube. So yes, you. And all of you who have joined me after I started my YouTube channel, thank you for being here. And thank you for the ones that watch my videos or give me thumbs up. Yeah, someone's out here. Thank you so much for giving Starlight thumbs up. And those of you who leave me a comment down below, thank you. And so today, the new topic for today is slow and steady wins the race. I'll tell you, that's what this life is about. And I love, not that I like checking women out. Women are beautiful. I have no problem saying that. I just was checking out a couple out here. But it doesn't mean that I'm gay or anything. It's all right to say, hey, I'm a beautiful lady, but I see that there's other beautiful ladies out here, no matter what age they are, is that I was seeing a lady not too long ago at a library, and she had a shirt, and I was trying to read what her shirt said because it had some writing on it. So I love checking out what women are wearing, and not, I like seeing the clothes that guys wear too, but it's not like I'm going to go out and buy those clothes. But, so anyway, when it comes to women, is, there's shirts that people have all kinds of sayings, like Starlight has shirts that say different things. And so this shirt that she had, this an older lady, it's similar to this topic here, is about slow and steady as the race. So how many of you are always in a rush, and, you're rushing here, you're rushing there. You know what God has taught me on this journey? Patience. God has taught me patience. Hang on. Starlight has been talking right along. So slow and steady, it wins the race. And you know what? I've had this week, or the weekend, and today, I've been dealing with some funky stuff, throughout the weekend, and now where I'm like, oh no, before I know it, half my day is gone for one reason or another. And now, I only got this time slot in the whole day when I wanted all those hours. But things happen. Don't they happen? Even like when you go to work. Some of you, I used to go through this, but some of you might go through this when you go and work at your job, is that, and this is devastating when this does happen if you work at these places, is that you could work for a company and before you got hired, they're like, hey, we can promise you this many hours. Say we could give you 40 hours in a week that we can promise to give you is 40 hours. And then they might also say is, but we want to let you know is there could be times throughout the year, depending on what goes on with the production and stuff like that with the company and who calls out, they possibly could say, hey, you know, you might work from, I'm not going to do my math right here, but say if you work from 9 to 3 every day. I don't know what that adds up to because Starlight's talking right now. Is I could figure that out if I had a piece of paper, but I'm not going to do that right now. So say if you got to work from 9 to 3 instead of 9 to 5 because you got kids. You got kids and you got a family, you got a life. So anyway, at 3 o'clock, it's almost coming to 3. And before you know it, a supervisor or manager comes up to you and says, we're just going to say your name is Joe. We'll pick on Joe. Haha, Joe. So the manager, supervisor goes up to Joe and say, Joe, and this is how they do a lot of things. It's like psychology. A lot of things are, they study, some companies do this, everything's kind of, they get more out of their employees. There's all these little tricks that people can do, knowing psychology. My brother used to study that stuff, so there's little tricks, is like, who likes to be told what to do? But isn't it different when somebody asks you instead of tells you what to do? Mm-hmm. Like, hey, Joe, could you possibly stay until 5? It kind of like, yeah, but really inside it was like a no. You didn't really want to, but he was on the spot, and he wasn't told. Like if the boss came up to him and said, "Hey, Joe, yeah, you're working till 5 tonight." That's more devastating, is when somebody's telling you, instead. So they do have all these little tricks that really they can get more. How do you get more out of your employees? You ought to check out those books. How do you get more out of the church members? There's an echo in here. Yes. So there's people that do this. Don't be surprised. I came from places like that. They do. They study how to control people at the church, So there's all these little tricks. But anyway, so Joe's got to work until 5 o'clock. But you know what? Joe's got, so he can make some, calls, get the babysitter to do something. He can pull some strings to make this happen because, a lot of us are people pleasers, afraid to say no to the boss. Sorry, boss. But he did sign up for this, right? He signed up for it. But it is shocking, like, wouldn't you'd rather, like, find out before you came into work that night and say, hey, just to let you know, we really need you until, 5 o'clock tonight instead of 3. At least then you can mentally prepare yourself for that extra 2 hours in that day. But now, so Joe's got to work extra 2 hours, and then when he gets home, he's like, oh, man, I got so much shit to do, because I had to work a couple hours. Now there's a couple hours missing, and, he has all this stuff. Now he could flip out and do things in the wrong order or, rush into things. And you know what? Slow and steady wins the race. He could get in a panic, get behind the car, and when, especially on Fridays, how are you people, especially when you got to get out of work, especially if you're in a city area, how are you with your driving skills? Are you sweet and polite to everyone, to get home in a nice, safe environment, going to the stop sign or the red light, or do you, like, really put the gas on and rush, to get back, because you're hungry, right? I'll tell you what, this happens to a lot of people. They once they get out of work, they're like they are so in a rush to get out, you know. Somebody might even be coming up to them. They might not even, this person might not even have a life, but they might come up to them and, you know, want to talk to Joe. Joe's like, I'm out of here, I'm gone. But, you know, so there's people that are in such a rush and they're not even thinking about their safety. God does not want us to be in a rush. It says that in the Bible. It doesn't word it that way, but do not haste or haste, you know. It's not, God doesn't want us to be in a rush for things. And that means in so many different areas, you know, about your driving. You know, do you drive reckless because you get, I'll tell you what, when it comes to people getting out of work and depending on what environment, what areas, what cities that they got to drive through, you know, people's like, I got to get out of here because if I don't get out of here at a certain time, I'm going to be stuck in traffic and I don't want to be stuck in traffic, which, you know what? A lot of things could get really solved and, you know, maybe, you know, to get a different job, do something different. Then you don't have to go through all that stuff and all the stress that adds to your life. And how about your safety, you know? And other people, you know, are slow and steady wins the race. How about when it comes to getting to know people? You know, like, it is crazy. I go through this stuff. I haven't gone through this in a while, but like today, I met somebody. It is my first time meeting him. Before I know it, we're already friends. We're friends already. How did that happen? I don't know. But, you know, he said we were friends. But we're not friends. I have friend. One friend that, you know, has been patient with me, you know, has helped me. I do have people out there as family who's been really working hard. They really want to be my friend, and we're working on, you know, building something up like that. But it does take time. And so there's people that they get upset, you know, is that a lot of the way the society is, and this is why we need to slow down. This is how relationships get started too quick. You know, there's people that they say, you know, I want it, Starlight, yes. And I'm just making the, well, maybe I'm not making these stories up, but Starlight with, and so let me think how I'm going to redo this. So I'm not going to use me as an example. I'm going to just, I got to name okay, so Kelly, there's Kelly and Mike. We'll just say Kelly and Mike. It's a couple, you know, they don't know each other. They're just kind of, they want to be a couple, but they're just learning about friendship and stuff. And their conversation, what is their conversation like? Well, we're going to pick on Kelly, is because Kelly's not in a rush. Kelly's like, you know what? I am a turtle right now. I am not in a rush. I've gone through a lot in my past. I need time. I'm not in a rush to have sex. I'm not in a rush to speed things up. But the man that, you know, the man Mike, well, I don't know, I think he totally missed all that stuff, you know, that she was telling him and communicating. Because a lot of times people are in such a rush, they don't even have the time to listen what people are telling them. Or there's times that people say they want to take things slow. Action speaks louder than words. So they say, I want to take things slow, but they're already rushing things without even getting to know, like in, like if you're in friendship mode, like learning about friends, does she even want to be in a relationship, or maybe she just wants to be friends? But there's people out there that they rush things where they already assume that you want to get married and you want to have babies and all that stuff. So they, sorry about these, I get bugs out here. So people need to slow down, and it's so important to slow down, like friendship, relationships. And I have to say, I have learned to slow down in those areas, and I needed to. There's someone out there special in my life, and I appreciate that person so much, is because they've been patient. You know, action speaks louder than words. They didn't say one thing and act a different way. They're actually proving themselves to me that they are patient. Sorry, Starlight's got some hair tickling her ear. So, but there's other people that, are out there in this world where they say one thing to someone, but their actions are different. They keep on pushing topics that it really should not even be there. So don't fall for those women or men that say one thing. Listen. That's why God gave us 2 ears. It's so important. This is what God is teaching me on this journey, is slow to speak and quick to listen. That's why we have 2 ears, 1 mouth, 1 nose, right? And 2 eyes. So we need to slow down and really listen to what people are saying, and then we can watch and see, are they really acting out exactly what they said, or are they saying words that are just, the wind just blew it away. It's just like, whoop, there goes that word. I want to take things slow. You got to watch out for those people. Are they being honest, and are they being real? Those are tests. You're going to be tested with people out in the world. Are they taking things slow, or are they rushing things? And that's a big, huge problem in the world, is because there's people that get in a rush in relationships. Then before you know it, they have babies, and they didn't even want to have babies. They didn't want no babies. They didn't want to get married. But guess what? It's too late right now. It's too late. And they don't want to get a miscarriage. They don't want to, do all that stuff, which is great that they are being responsible and not going out and destroying a baby's life because they weren't thinking ahead and, using extra precautions by using a condom, or, making sure that they couldn't have a baby. So, but they already have that baby, and what happens? Now they got a baby that they didn't even want. And that's a big, huge problem in the world today. Lots of people have babies, and they don't want to take care of it. They don't want to, they weren't ready. They didn't want a baby because they knew it was going to take up their time. They didn't want a baby because they know it's a lot of responsibility. It costs a lot of money. But guess what? Now it's too late. And, they got to deal with this the rest of their life, because, now they got this baby. Then later on, this baby's going to find out, oh, they never wanted me. They never wanted me. So it's a lesson for that baby to learn. So, don't be in a rush, like with your driving and, decisions that we make. Listen. Listen to what people are saying. Don't just jump, and I am talking to myself here. I am talking to myself, because we're all going to be tested at different moments in life, is to really, instead of hearing something and running with it and going somewhere, is to slow down, is to really think. Like I'm right now, today, like I said, the other day, my day went upside down because a video got deleted somehow or another without me knowing. And so I had to cram everything in one day. But you know what? I slow down instead of me rushing, because what happens when we rush and we do things, we're not thinking. That's how then we can make even more of a mess and waste more of our time and not even do anything in the right way that it's supposed to get done, because we're too much in a rush. And then, it might end up being nothing because we didn't take the extra steps to make sure we did a good job, and now it got half-assed done. And I was guilty of that on my cleaning business, is, trying to get things done in a certain period of time when it was impossible. And I got to get out of the house at a certain time because the whole family is going to come back. So then you're cutting corners. Because, it would have been wiser, to make different decisions than to, do a job that's half-assed, and then the people can complain about your work and then you could lose out, on that job. So a lot of us think that, we got to do things quick, but on this journey that I've learned is God is saying, Starlight, slow down. And that's what I had to do today. That's what I had to, slow down. It's okay. You know, God took care of some things, but there's times, things happen in life that we don't need to rush, because you're going to miss out. You could possibly do things in the wrong order and miss out on what is really important. Your safety is important, and you got to teach that to your kids. Anything that I teach you, or really most of the things that I teach you, can be taught and passed down to your children, so they're not in a rush. These days it's about being quick and fast. Now people got all kinds of, people are not patient. They're not, willing to wait. They want things right away. And you're going to, just like when that COVID thing came out here, how many of you were in a rush to hurry up without even thinking, because of the news people, right? The news people and the hospitals, the doctors. Do you think there's corrupt doctors out in the world? You bet your ass, bro, Starlight. What was that? You bet your ass, Starlight. So yes, there are corrupt doctors out there that can be used on the news to deceive you, to control you, to get you to do something that they want to control you to do. And so how many of you took the injection when COVID came? Some of you did. And hey, it's your body. You could do whatever you want to do, but how do you feel now about it? Do you wish you could have backed up the clock, and not took it? How do you feel? How many jabs did you take? Did you have to do that? Or is it something that was forced on you? Did you rush into it because that's exactly what they wanted people? And just like salesmen, this is how people get your money, is they put advertisements out on the TV. It's like, hurry up, this is, and I've been deceived on this myself when I was younger, is they would have a commercial and there's something that they're selling and they're like, hey, hurry up, we're only going to have this advertisement out here, for so long, and after that it's not going to be there. They lied because, I kept on seeing that same ad on there, and they were trying to get people to rush and hurry up. When people want you to hurry up and buy something, hurry, they're doing that so you can't think straight, and you can't make the right kind of decision that you would if you said, you know what, wait a minute, let's think about this before we make any decision here. There could be a lot of things that you could, how about like when you go out and buy a car, how quick they want you to sign that paperwork, that they get trained for that stuff, other things that are, even with your doctor, slow down, slow down, put the brakes on. The doctor, you go into the doctor's office and you got some kind of health issue going on, and the doctor goes away, comes back in the room and says blah blah blah, and the first thing that he comes up with is like, hey, we got these medications for you, we could try this medication for you. And you know what, slow down. Is there a healthier alternative to take, doctor? Is there a different thing that you could suggest to me? Like maybe I should exercise, or maybe, maybe I ought to work on my diet. They know a lot of people, they don't want you to, do that stuff, because they won't be able to make money on the medication they would sell you. So you got to really slow down and think, what are you doing? Before you sign that paper, I know some people that want to get married, and, you've been, there's some people that been in a relationship for like maybe 12 years, and now they're thinking about getting married. At that point, I wouldn't even want to get married. I'd be like, why even bother? I've been like, what am I going to say? We've been together 12 years, and then we just got married, and this is our first year, to say I'm married for 1 year. I wouldn't even, I'd be like, if you didn't marry me before, why would you want to marry me now? Why would it take you that long to even want to marry me? Because a lot of people, what it is, people don't get to know each other, and they get to learn each other as they're in that relationship. So after that many years, you know, do you want to still get married to that person? So what's holding you back? You know, so those are things that you got to really, you know, signing papers on buying things like a house, you know, you know, do your homework. Make sure, you know, you check and make sure, you know, I'll tell you what, there's people, they buy houses. You got to have the right realtor, make sure that they do, you know, do a good investigation on that house or whatever they call that, is to make sure that everything gets covered. Do your homework. Is what kind of things should they be looking at a house to make sure that you're not buying a house that's going to, you know, the furnace isn't going to fall apart or the roof isn't going to start leaking, you know. They so there's companies out there that I was learning that for a roof, instead of getting men to climb up, you know, and get on the roof and check the roof out, there's now they get the technology here. I'm like trying to think of these flying things that they I'm trying to remember these things. Sometimes Starlight bug is they'll get like this flying thing that will fly up and take pictures, and I'm trying to think of the name of that. For some reason Starlight can't think of that name, but they will use I have it on the tip of my tongue, so they could use one of those and check out the roof, make sure the roof, you know. Well, how good is that really? You know, is that really the way to go? You know, is you want to make sure you get your homework done. So don't be in a rush for anything. If you are in a rush, that's when you're going to slip up. That's when you're going to mess up. Even like in the wintertime, if you're in a rush all the time and it's got snow out where you are, you could slip and fall, you know. Same thing in life about all different kind of things. You could sign the wrong paperwork, you know, get in the wrong with the wrong crowd, get with the wrong people, you know. People even that do drugs out there like marijuana, you know, you got to watch yourself. There's some people are doing some evil stuff out there when it comes to drugs, you know. Even drinking and stuff like that, is to keep yourself safe. You know, I'm not against anybody that does marijuana because I used to do it, but you got to watch out. There's sometimes that they stick stuff in marijuana, and when people get desperate and they want to hurry up and they want to smoke, I know what it's like. I've been there. You know, is especially when you haven't had it in a few days or so, you want more, and you got to be careful, because when you're in such a rush, and then you take these, you know, you go and like, hey, you know, your dealer couldn't get anything. Then you end up, you know, dealing with somebody that's kind of sketchy, and you don't know what you're getting. You know, they got a bad reputation, but you want to get that high, and you're not even caring about your safety or even the other people that's going to smoke that marijuana with you. So slow and steady wins the race. Don't be in a rush. Slow down. You know, take time to get to know people. Instead of, you know, first thing, hey, we're friends, and, you know, before you know it, you know, I'm not even your friend. Now, there's somebody out there that's been working so hard to be my friend, so we're working on that. But, you know, most of you are all family to me, and so you really do have to take things slow with people. You know, there's people that know so much about me, but I really don't know nothing about them. So be cautious of what you jump into, because you can slip and fall. I love you so much. This is Starlight. You can give this video a thumbs up. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel. Plus, you can leave me a message down below, beep, 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 and you could share my videos with your family or friends. Let me see. A shark. Sure, with a shark. And a whale. I got some spider friends out here. So yes, you could share my videos with them, and I got this spider friend out here. I got Spider-Man out here, and I gotta watch this spider dude out here. Sometimes they jump on you. So besides sharing my videos, you can check out my playlist, and you can find me on Instagram at 1995 Starlight, or on Facebook, and that is Kathy with a K, Dingman Starlight. So don't mind me, Starlight. Some of these spiders, I kind of recognize some of them, and they just jump, jump. Have you ever seen one of those spiders? Jump. They just jump. So anyway, I love you so much, and you have a fabulous day. Don't be in a rush, you know, to get caught out there. Be, slow down. Just pause for a bit. If somebody wants you to do something, you don't have to give an answer right away. Your kids do that, right? Kids do that. They're like, they will ask you when other adults are around, and they want to pressure you by like, hey, 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 if I ask mom in front of these adults out here, I'm going to put a guilt trip on her. She's going to say yes. But slow down. You don't have to give an answer away. You can think about it. Think about it. You know what? You want to buy that car? You don't have to buy it that day. It'd be better that you be patient and think about it, you know, do your math, figure out your bills, figure out, can I really afford that? Do I really want to go that route? You know, is everything going to be good later on? Am I going to have the money later on? Because, you really got, they're in a rush to get you to sign that paperwork, but you need to slow down and read that fine print. Even things, and I'm going to say this, and this is stuff I don't do, but I'm going to help you out with it anyway, is, Starlight does not like putting things on my phone. So be cautious with that. You might not know, because this happened many times with me. Learn from my mistakes on these, my lessons that I need to still learn, is be careful what kind of apps that you put on your phone, or even, when you get a message on your messenger on your phone. Like, somebody recently told me that, hey, these people hacked into my stuff. What kind of stuff are you putting on your phone? Do you get like a message on your phone that you can't read the whole message and you want to click on it, you don't recognize the number? Be cautious of that stuff. I googled that not too long ago. They could, it could be a malware to spy on your stuff. And so be careful with the apps that you put. Make sure they're trusted sites that other people are using and don't have any hard time with those apps, because I recently have done stuff on my phone and my phone has been acting funky ever since, and I can't prove it. But so be careful about opening up things on your computer or on your phone, or even adding those apps. They got apps are everywhere. You go to the gas station, you want that price for that gas, a cheaper price. There's an app. So be careful. And that's the thing. People are in such a rush. Hurry, hurry, hurry. You're going to slip and fall, and later on you'll be like, why did all this happen? Got to slow down. I love you so much. This is Starlight. Namaste. This is Starlight. Love, light, and peace. Whoopsie. Mm-hmm.